Welcome to another edition of the Vicktory Life Legacy Spotlight. I have a great guest. I say great because I consider Elton Brown one of the best, if not the best, offensive linemen to ever play in the ACC. That shows you how much I love him as a player and as a person because he played at UVA. Yeah, but he still, love is love. He's from the crib. He's from the area we've grown and raised up in. He also played at my school as well as I grew up after I got done with Hampton watching him. Elton, how you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. I appreciate you for having me. We finally made it happen, so I'm glad to be here, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, I introduced you as one of the best offensive linemen to ever play in the ACC. And there's many people in the media, even guys you played against, guys you played with that feel the same way I did. But at the same time, you are much more than a football player. You are a leader in the community. You're a coach now. We'll talk about that a little later. You have a way when you're around people to influence them. But let's talk about before the helmet, before the cleats, before you just started destroying people on the field. Let's talk a little bit about where you grew up. You're from the 757, a long lineage going back to the 60s and 70s of great athletes.
Yes, sir.
Where did you start off at, and who got you into sports?
Well, it's crazy because a lot of people don't know. I didn't actually play until my 9th grade year in high school. So it's not like I grew up playing football. I played basketball. I played baseball. I probably wasn't good at either one of those, but it was something that, you know, my mom wanted to keep us off the street. So we did that. I wasn't a football player. I just felt like, you know, I didn't want to play football. And I remember in the 9th grade, like my cousin, I got an older cousin that's actually a lawyer now. Well, I take that back. He's a judge. He's like the first black judge in Fairfax since I think it's like 30, 40 years or so. So.
Oh yes, I seen you post about him.
Yeah, so Dante Bug, but Dante called me and he was like, he was playing football at the time. He was a track guy, but he was playing football. He called me. It was like, look, man, they're having trials. And I'm like, man, I don't play football cuz I'm gonna pass on that one. I'm gonna just wait for basketball trials. So, you know, he kind of continued to force me. Not gonna say force me. He continued to stay on top of me. Yeah. But I remember having a conversation with my grandfather, rest his soul, at the time, and my grandfather was, to me, one of the greatest men I knew, of course, and his word was bond with me. Like, so when I asked him about it, he was like, well, you haven't tried it, so how would you know you don't like it? Just give it an opportunity. So I went out there. Mm-hmm. My 9th grade year, I played JV, and I remember it was funny, man, because I watched the movie Blindside, and I'm going out there getting holding penalties and this and this, but I'm 6'3", so of course I'm starting. So it was just I remember my mom coming to a game, and she like, look, stop holding people and just knock them out. So my 10th grade year, coming back, I was still at Heritage High School. Coach Newsome had came from Kickertan over to Heritage, and
I remember that.
It was like I remember telling myself, like, I'm gonna play JV again as a 10th grader, and I'll be ready for varsity. This would be my 2nd year, and we were getting jerseys for practice jerseys, and so I reached over there to get a JV jersey, and I just hear somebody behind me like, if you don't get your big, he didn't say but you get what I'm getting. He's like, over there and get a varsity jersey, and it was ironic because Ronald Curry had just left Hampton, and Hampton was on a 40-game win streak. We had Hampton the first game of the season. And so Coach Newsome came from Kickerton. He was very familiar with Mike Smith, of course. They had
close.
Yeah, they had some great rivalry games. So he knew that he had some great talent and heritage, and he knew the thing that we were missing was discipline. And being football players. Like, I think a lot of young kids forget that point. Like, being a football player, like, it takes a mindset and things like that. So, you know, he developed that in us, and we went out there 5 overtimes later. We ended up upsetting Hampton 14-8, and that kind of jump-started my career. I had to go against he's a good friend of mine now, Jared Green. Yep. At the time, he was like one of the best defensive ends in the state, well, country. And I was a 10th grader. He was a senior, and I held my own against him. And from there, it was, you know, that kind of started the whole, I guess, legacy. That's a good word to use here. It kind of started the whole legacy right there.
You know, I remember that, and I remember when Coach Newsome was at Heritage. Was Melendez Bird there too?
Yep.
Yes, yeah, because I remember Melendez had me. I don't know, you might have been there. He had me come down from Tech and speak to Heritage, and he told me.
Yep.
Yeah, he had me come speak. It was right before the season started, and he was a school counselor and a coach there. And I remember he told me, he said, "Hey, Vic, we're going to beat y'all this year." I said, "Heritage?" He said, "I'm telling you." And you know what? I remember after I spoke and I saw some of the workouts and he told me the kind of talent y'all had, I wasn't surprised because, you know, Heritage, like a lot of schools in Newport News during that time, always had talent. It was more so about coaching, coming together in the discipline. You were there and then you ended up at Hampton.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people thought you played Hampton your all 4 years. So please let everybody know how you ended up at Hampton, because that's kind of like crossing on, going from one team to another as far as rivalries and being part of the team that dethroned Hampton that year. So
after my 11th grade season, I became one of the best linemen in the country. You know, I had scholarship offers from everywhere, and I ended up going to, it was basketball season at the time. So I remember going to a party over the Christmas break, and at the party, a fight broke out, and another young man was injured. It was three football players at the party. Eventually, us three got charged. The kid got his jaw broke. You know, I'm never ashamed to tell my story because it made me who I am. I was there. I didn't participate, but I was there, and I take full responsibility because I put myself in a situation to be charged, and it. I think that at 17 years old changed my life. So I couldn't go to school in Newport News for the first 9 weeks of school. Had to go over. So we went to Hampton. At one point, Hampton Public Schools said I could play at the beginning of the school year. Then they upheld the Newport News rule, so I couldn't play. At that time, I had already moved and all those type of things. But I look back on it, and at the time, I was so bent on playing. And I think when I look back now, being 30-plus years, like, it was a point that, you know, you have to be accountable. You have to be held accountable for your actions. And whether I wanted to whether I wanted to sit out or not, it was the right thing to do. And I tell people, like, I'm never afraid of my past. I'm never afraid to share it because it's going to help the next kid and it's going to keep him out of trouble. So that's how I ended up getting over there to Hampton. And Coach Smith and Coach Mitchell and all those guys, they were instrumental because I couldn't play, but I used to go over after school and work out. I couldn't work out with them, so I would work out with Miss Hobson, the PE teacher. So she would work me out, and we would work out. But I mean, those guys, I mean, they opened their arms, as you know, coming from Newport News, going to Hampton at that time, especially. There was a whole lot of stuff going on, but even the school, I mean, the community, they accepted me. So it was kind of how I got my stripes in both cities, I guess, to say. Like, and to me, I just took that experience and I never forgot it. I never forgot those people who helped me get there.
You know, what's crazy, I've known you a long time, and I never really knew the whole story behind it. You know, in the 757, you hear different things. You really never know what the truth is, but yet you ended up in Hampton. Before we talk about the rest of your career, I do have to ask you, because I know your family very well. Your mother is a powerful lady in a positive way. She speaks life. She's a teacher. She's a preacher. She's a mother to many, but she's real. And she keeps it real, whether on social media, at the hair salon, at Foot Locker. It don't matter where you see your mom. She's going to talk to you and give you some words of encouragement as well as accountability. What was her words to you when all that popped off, you got in trouble, especially that time when you kind of becoming that known athlete, part of that legacy in the 757? What were her words to you?
It was weird because my mom, like, I remember, like, football wasn't the priority. Like, it wasn't like, yo, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to make it. It was just, you're playing, so you do what you got to do, keep your grades up, stay focused, those type of things. But I remember when it first happened, and I was actually in the tournament up in T.C. Williams, and she was there. And I remember when I got the call from my athletic director and going in there, I was embarrassed because I was like, I let her down. I felt like I let her down. I let my family down. So I remember the walk from the athletic director's room to my mom's room was just, it felt like I was walking the interstate, man. It was so long. But it was just, walking and thinking about what to say. And I remember getting in there and she was like, look, tell me the story. I told her what it was. She was like, man, we're gonna get through it. And I remember going through the process and having to go in so many school board meetings and these type of things. And I ended up going to alternative school. And I remember the first day there, she had walked me in, and it was so much. We had to go through so much to get to this point. And I remember I had just walked in the classroom. I sat down. She was on her way out the door. And it was like 3 minutes later, somebody came in and was like, look, your mom fainted like on the other side. So I had to take off out there. So I take off. And I remember it's to this day, like just the words, like I'm like, look, it's cool. Like let's give up. Like just leave it alone. Like your health is more important than this. And I remember she looked at me, man, and it was like, I'm willing to die for my son. Like if this is what it takes for his future, I'm willing to die for that. And so to me, from that point at 17 years old, the rest of my life, I remembered that. And I lived my life to, I just make her proud, like, because she had given so much. And in that moment there, it was just, it just touched me, man. So from everything, when I got to college, sitting in the classroom, that's all I can remember. On the football field, that's all I can remember. Getting drafted, going play in the NFL, like those type of things, being in the community, like that is all I can remember is just her saying, like, I love you that much that I die for you. And so when you become passionate about something, like that's the passion. So, and that's the passion that I took. That I like you said, she's always that was what she instilled in me, and it helped me, man. It helped me. So like all those dark moments I had in my life, like it just shot so much light on those moments.
Yeah, man. No, I didn't know. Wow, I did not know that. This is crazy. But at the same time, it helped shape you become the great man that you are, and she still has an impact. I mean,
Yeah.
But let's talk about when you were at Hampton. I know who you play with, but just remind everybody when you were at Heritage, because you played with some great players at both schools. You were at Heritage. Who did you play with? And then when you got to Hampton, who did you play with?
Man, I'm a try. It's like I done played with so many great, and I don't want to
omit anybody.
Say, but it was some like me and Daryl Blackstock played together all 4 years. We went to UVA together, and we got drafted by Arizona together. So
and Michael Johnson was there too, right?
Yeah, Mike Johnson, and the guys that didn't, like, people forget the team that built Heritage, like the Kente Blunts, the Eric Sidneys, the Ed Greens, the Michael Clemens, the Reggie Pickett's, like these dudes. Foster Brodus was another one that, like, our quarterback. My line, it was Jack Rousey, Jay Moore, Antonio Finner, Jermaine McFadden. Like, that was the foundation. Before Coach Newsome arrived, we had won 6 games in the school's whole history. And in that first year, we won 9 games just that year. So, but those were the people, Mike Johnson, Rudy Foyle. It was so many people that, like, man, you could have made an all-star team just off that team. I went to Hampton, and you had Carlos Campbell, Derek Finner, Joe Smith, Big Steve up front.
It
was so – man, this Alvin Banks was at running back.
Yes.
It was, man, we had – I've been fortunate enough, man, throughout my whole career, whether it was high school, professional, college, to play with some great guys. And you don't become good, and I never consider myself great. You don't become good by playing with guys who don't push you and guys who don't motivate you. So I've been fortunate and blessed to play with some great guys.
You have, and you also played for some great coaches. You mentioned Coach Newsome, who was a phenomenal coach on the collegiate and high school level. He helped me get recruited back in the day, and I was at Hampton, and he's just his class act.
Yeah.
Then you get to Hampton, and You play for Coach Smith and Coach Mitchell and Coach Mann, you know, and you, like me, because they believe in keeping your athletes on the field at all times. So like me, you play both ways.
Yeah.
You know, and this is your spotlight. You speak freely. How was it playing for those coaches, Coach Smith and Mitchell? Because you and I know there's stuff we can't release on this video because it's just cold, you know, and there was stuff people did back then that you can't do now.
Yeah.
But I don't say it in a negative way. It's more so that was just the culture of football back then. But how was it for you? And when you came from Newport News, were you looking around like, we practicing on this field? Like we
it's like a it's like, man, it's like you see greatness, right? So, man, you walking over there, you like, man, this dude got 15 state championships. So whatever he say, he got to be doing something right. Something, whatever they got going on over here has got to be right. So me coming over, it was like, like my grandfather, like I said, was that positive male role figure. But like as far as like a strong father figure, at Heritage it was Coach Thompson, who came from Kickertown with Coach Newsome. And when I got to Hampton, it was crazy because it was Coach Mitchell, it was Coach Mann, it was Coach Smith. It was, and you know, like I know, we're not babying anybody over here. We gonna treat you like men, but at the same time we gonna care about you. And to me, it was a different kind of love. Like it was love at Heritage, like the get on the right path. Like let's become football players. Let's do this. And then when I got over there, it was, I'm only getting you for a year and only really a couple games. But for them to take me in, man, and coach me hard, to this day, like rest in peace, Coach Mitchell. Like I remember seeing him a few weeks before he went in the hospital at Jason's Deli. And it's still the same thing. It's always love, man. And you know, it's like you say, when you play for some great guys, man, you're around great guys. That's what the game is about, man. That's what it's about. Playing for great guys and playing with great guys.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So when I saw you play, I saw you at Hampton, and I mean, but you mentioned being around those guys, Daryl Blackstock, Michael Johnson, then getting to Hampton, Carlos Campbell, all those different guys, and I'm sure we're forgetting some people. I saw you play, but I really saw you play in college, and I remember, and we'll get to UVA in a second, but your nastiness, like when I knew I was going to play O-line and D-line, I embraced it because back then, not now, I was a big-time Redskins fan, and they had Jim Lachey and Joe Jacoby, the Grims, and the Hogs, and, you know, it was a pride. Plus, I played defense, so it was pride in playing on the line. Mm-hmm. But I'll be honest, I was a left tackle, and I played right tackle. So in high school, I had to take on ends and play against guys. I took pride in O-line. But when I saw you come on the scene, I promise you, bro, like you took the game of playing football on the line to another level. Like, you know, because they had you more involved in the screen game, getting out in space, counters, blocking down, and you absolutely mauled people. Before we talk about how you chose UVA and your college career, when did that light bulb come on that, you know what, I'm going to play O-line and I'm going to kill people? And for those watching, we mean legally.
Yeah.
Football. But at the end of the day, I'm serious. You came in, because some guys, you know, you coach, it's like, oh, man, they got me playing line. But when I saw you come in the game, it was like, oh, you almost made playing offensive line fashionable, like you know, popular. Because when announcers normally talk about us as holding, false starts, getting beat, not getting establishing the line of scrimmage. For you, it was like, hey, did you see that? When did that light bulb come on for you?
It's crazy that me and you are having this conversation, because and I always tell you, like people like you were the reason I was successful. And I say that to say, like, I watched you guys in high school, and I knew coming up and coming from the thing about a 757 athlete is you never want to disappoint or let down another 757 athlete. It doesn't matter what school they go to. You at Tech, I was at UVA. It's guys that go all these places. Like, the team doesn't matter. It's the brotherhood that we have in the 757. And the thing is to never be that one so somebody can say, man, them 757 dudes can't play. Like, so to me, my motivation was always to be, okay, it was some great guys that came before me. It was the Dwight Vicks. It was the Michael Vicks. It was the Ronald Carriers. It was the Armando. Like, all these guys who came before me, like, it's my responsibility to continue this legacy. Like, but going to UVA, like, I remember being there, and you know, like, I know when you come in college, especially being a lineman, you're going to come in, you're going to probably be listed as OLDL. So, and you're going to go to that first camp, it's going to be, okay, what is he going to play? And you're going to go to that rookie, you're going to go to the rookie camp like we had Groh. So Groh had came from the NFL. So he had us report like 3 days before the upperclassmen did. So the first practice was defense, the second practice was offense. And I just remember going through the practices. I'm like, I want to play D-line. This is what I want to do. I want to come to college. I want to play defensive line. Like, this is what I want to do. So I remember when the upperclassmen got there, and it was like, okay, the depth chart come out, and I'm listed as an offensive guard. I played tackle in high school. I'm listed as an offensive guard. And I'm like, yo, this is turn. Like, I want to play defense. So I never forget, man, we were sitting in the locker room, and I had went through the first couple of days of camp with everybody pouty face. Like, I'm 18 years old. I didn't get what I wanted. I'm pouty face. And I remember one of the upperclassmen. And then another thing was I was number 66 in high school.
I remember that.
Yeah, I get there and I'm 61. I'm like, man, what is this? Like, I don't get my number. So I said, man, this is crazy. But I remember the day, man. It was like the third practice. We had just finished the first practice of a tour day. And one of the upperclassmen was like, look, like, you walk around here, man, with your lip in your lap, like what's going on? So I'm explaining, like, look, man, I want to play defense. Like, I thought I was coming here to play defense. He was like, look, you play offense. So why not take the same aggression and energy that you play defense with and play offense with it? And so I'm like, well, like, you're going to get holds and, like, you're going to be holding and this and this. He was like, no, like, be so good that they can't ignore you. And as a freshman, 3 days in, I was like, wow. And from that point on, that was how I played the game, man. It was just, but it was fun. Like you said, like, it was so, I sit back and I look at our old games and stuff like that and the commentators, and you don't reflect in the moment, but when it's over, you look back, and I got pictures, man. I remember going to a game at home and 5 dudes had Elton spelled on their chest. Like, it's 60,000 people in the stadium, man. And I'm like, yo, I play line. Like, I don't score touchdowns. I don't do this. And you look in the student section and it was Elton. And it just didn't stop there. Like, I would come, it would say Big E. So it was like, wow, like, you can really, like, playing offensive line, man, you could really get love. And that's why I tell guys these days, I'm the wrong one to tell that linemen don't get love.
Yeah.
So if you, and I just went on about it that way, man, be so good that they can't ignore you. If you go out there and you're this dominant figure, if you're this dominant offensive lineman, they can't ignore you if you're doing what you're supposed to do. And like you said, you mauling people and –
Oh, you did. Oh, you did. Oh, no. I wish I had the technology. Maybe life will get to that when we talk and the highlights will come on. I get a bigger budget. That's, we're going to do a part 2 to this so I can show, or I'm going to show some highlights as I lead up to this interview. But look, E, when you chose UVA, because you played at Hampton, but like you said, you didn't have that traditional Aberdeen, Dora Miller, Lindsay Tornadoes, like some kids. You started very late, which is unusual then and now, but yet you became later on in your career an All American and highly touted. But how did it end up being UVA? I'm sure playing in Hampton and the career you even had at Heritage led to a lot of interest at school. Who were your top 5, and what made you stay in state and go to UVA?
So this this is another story that people don't know. And I'm actually in the process of writing my book. So a lot of this stuff gonna be detailed.
Here we go.
In the book. So it's gonna be later on. But another thing that people don't know about my selection process. So when I got in trouble and I moved to Hampton, it was a lot of people that start sending me letters. Like I was getting these college letters like, look, the interest in this and this. And I remember starting getting letters that we're not interested in you anymore because they didn't know my character. And it was like, so we're not interested in you anymore. And me being 18 years old, so I'm pissed off now. I'm like, I made a mistake. Plenty of people make mistakes. And so I started looking through these letters, and I remember vaguely the first one I got was the University of North Carolina. And to me, like I loved the Carolina colors. Like I love Carolina colors. And growing up, I remember this is where I want to play. I remember watching Julius Peppers and saying, I want to go to Carolina. I remember when they first started recruiting me, it was to a point where I was about to say, look, I'm good. Like I'm going to Carolina.
Wow, I never even knew that. That's crazy.
So it was they sent me a letter. We're no longer interested in you. We wish you the best, but it won't be at University of North Carolina. I said, okay.
Hold on, man. Because again, I'm only asking because I never experienced that. I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah,
they wrote that out.
Yeah, man, it was crazy, man. Like a letter, like basically, like yo, like you know, like we wish you the best, but we're no longer interested in recruiting you. And so I put that letter over there, and then I started getting a lot of letters from like that around the country. So when I started looking, I say, well, I remember Coach Groh coming he came to Hampton. And I remember telling him, I said, look, Coach, if you give me an opportunity, I promise you I won't disappoint you. I promise you I won't let you down. So he left, of course, we'll be in contact. And when I looked, like I had a couple letters from the ACC that said, we're not interested. So if I get UVA, I get to play y'all every year. So, okay. Yeah. So it came back like that. I got the opportunity. It was, man, my parents, I mean, like it was just so easy to get there 2 hours away.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, this is a perfect fit. And I get to go play these dudes.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm sure our listeners or people watching are going to be like, okay, wait a minute. So one fight, did you have bad grades? Did you get caught with weed at Hampton? Were you known as a malcontent? Were you a bad practice player? Because, I mean, I guess, in today's era, a lot of guys have a misstep or make a mistake. Yeah. And I mean, I know the answer to that, but just so you can clarify, there was no other issues other than that one incident, correct?
Man, I had a 3.7. Like honor roll my whole life. Mm-hmm. Those type of things. The mistake, and I'm not even gonna call it a mistake. I take that back. The situation was the kid that got injured, and to me, like I said, I had an opportunity to actually see this kid one time, and we had a conversation. But his father was a lawyer, so it was one of those things where I remember when it first happened, and the comment that came out was like, he'll never play football again, ever. And to me, being young, you look at that and it fuels you, like you take it as hate, but I made a mistake, man. And I don't want people to forget that I put myself there. I take full responsibility and accountability for it, and I put myself there. But I think what people have to realize and step away from and look from a broader view is you're talking about kids too. So mistakes, I'm pretty sure he had made mistakes on his way to being a successful lawyer. And, if it wasn't willing, if God didn't have a plan, it's no telling what would have happened. I could have went to jail. I could anything. But his plan was different. His plan was, I need this guy right here to go through something so he can understand, but so he can come back and impact this community or have some type of pulse of his community to give back. So I think I tell people, man, it's great playing football, and I had a lot of fun. I think my story was to come back and help my community, man. I think that was the bigger. I tell people all the time, if I walk in a room and a police officer walk in the room, and I tell the kids to read a book, and he tell the kids to read a book, they're gonna listen to me because I played in the Super Bowl. So, I think I was put in a position that, okay, I'm gonna take him here, but now his impact will be greater. Okay, so now he can reach tens of thousands of people that this police officer or this person over here can't reach. So I think I'm grateful for my time playing and those things, but I think it was to get to a point now where it's just helping your community.
Yeah, and listen to this story, which I never knew the details of it until just now. It's eerily similar to what happened with Allen Iverson and Michael Simmons and them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take a step back, location, situation. I mean, unfortunately, they went to prison, and it was a sad story on both ends, even the victims. But at the same time, very similar in the fact that there was at one point we didn't know if AI was going to play again, and those guys with him, the other guys with him never played again. But Iverson, of course, got a second chance, very similar to what you did. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know it was this deep. I'm definitely can't wait for that book because I'm sure there's a lot of people that follow your career at UVA and even ACC fans, even people that watch you in the pros, did not know the depth of this story. This is pretty amazing because, I thought it was just straightforward, but you get the UVA, thank God you persevered and got through it. It was a life lesson. You get the UVA and all of a sudden it's almost like you're Thanos on the field. I'll tell you right now, when I follow you on Snap or Facebook and I see you post stuff, I can be busy, but I will stop and watch you destroy people. 3 techniques, those are D tackles. Linebackers out in space. And you know what? It was funny. You mentioned Carolina backing off on you. I promise you, some of your best blocks and running through people were against the boys down in Carolina, man. What do you remember about playing at UVA and the memories and the games, the matchups, in the ACC? Because they you were on the, what is it, the wall of the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, the Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame. You got the engraved thing outside the stadium, and it's pretty impressive being a guy from Newport News, man, just to do that. But you relished in the opportunity to, destroy people, but also play the game the right way. You played hard every play, and that's what I loved about you, and I loved about watching you play. What do you remember about those games and playing in those matchups? Not just against Carolina, but anybody. Just
the like Coach Groh, I give. It's crazy now because it's different than when we played, like, because the rules now are a whole lot different. But
yeah,
we would go 2 of days, man, 6-7 straight days in a row.
Yes.
But the thing I say, man, with Coach Groh was he prepared us to be a mentally, physically tough team. And our practices would be so hard. Like getting through practice was like an award. Like, you got to grind, you got to do what you got to do, but you're going to be better on the flip side of it. So Monday through Friday was the hard days. Like, to me, Saturday was easy. Saturday was the reward. And how, being a coach, you come up with these sayings, and you get a lot of coaches that say, man, look, man, you punch the clock Monday through Friday, you get your paycheck on Saturday. That was what it was to me. Like, Saturday is go time. And to me, every Saturday was, how do you continue to build upon what you did? So, like, you can't go backwards. If you had a good game last week, it's no such thing as having you can't go backwards. And I would find it was funny watching the Bulls documentary and listening to Michael Jordan. It's like finding things. Like, I would do that, like, find things. I remember playing Maryland. E.J. Henderson was up for the buckets, but he ended up winning it that year.
Yeah, he was good.
Best linebacker in the country. Like, to me, like, I went into that game like, we from the 757, bro. You got to show me. You got to show me, like, if you good and I feel like I'm good, man, after this game, it's only one. It can only be one. So I would do that. I remember North Carolina, like, I already had this letter. Like, I'm talking about a lot of people didn't know. I ain't gonna give y'all all my book stuff, but I'm gonna say, like, the letters, I took the letters to college with me. So before every game, I would read these letters. So, but Carolina, I remember Carolina, we played Carolina the second game of the season, my junior season. And this linebacker they had was a freshman. And the week before, he had like 17, 18 tackles. He about to be the defensive player of the year. I remember walking in the meetings. We had install on that Monday. And, of course, we watched the joint. We got the game plan, all these type of things. We watching players to watch. This kid, he was number one up there, linebacker, this and this. I say, I don't care what you got to do. Get me to a look. I just need us to get in the under, and I need 34, and let me roll. Let me roll at him. And it's the first play of the game, man. We run 34 zone, first play of the game. I come down here, bam, and I run a slam over. We get like 10 yards on the, and I said, man, and I looked at him. I said, man, this is a whole different week, bro. Like who you dealt with. I don't know who it was last week, but man, you was in for one today. And so you find those things, man, and you know, you get guys and you playing the Florida States, you get up for them just cause, like, it's Florida State back then anyway. Like the Tech game, like playing Tech, it was.
I was going to bring that game up.
Yeah, like battle. It's the battle of the cup, and we ended up until they just won this past year. I was part of the last team that did.
Yeah, you and Biscuit and all you guys.
Yeah, but we had some battles. And you know, the first year, my first season, they jumped. I was like 19-zip at the half, and they ended up beating us. Can't remember what the score was that year, but that was the widest margin of victory for them. Every other year, it was a close game. Even down to my senior year, going into that game, we were both playing for the ACC championship. So
well, you know, that is. I'm sorry to cut you off, E, but I reference that because when I'm on Twitter, when I have the platform on radio shows, I try to remind the newer fans that run that we've had, it was not the norm. It went back and forth, and it was also a much better rivalry the further you go back. Mm-hmm. I actually enjoyed those games because I was done playing college ball at that time, and I remember that really, really good one. I think it was the game y'all came to Blacksburg, the one 04.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, you were both teams, Tech and UVA, because the top three teams in ACCs were Tech, UVA, and Miami.
Yep.
And that game at Tech, y'all went back and forth. And I remember I saw you running your mouth. See, people that know football, I can tell when the offensive lineman is running their mouth because you knew some of the guys on the other side, especially you and Jimmy Williams going at it.
Yep.
See, the thing about it is, I'm especially when it's like I'm watching the conversations and I'm like, ooh, because I know y'all know each other and I see all that, man, but I can see the motivation in your play, man. And again, I just, I get excited and get carried away because it was just fun to watch as somebody who played that position, man.
It's funny you bring it up. Like I watching the Tech game probably about a month ago, and it was actually the one that we won, but it was like the first play of the game, and Jimmy played quarterback for me in high school. So, but it was the first play of the game, and we ran like a over the ball like dump, and the running back got out, and I remember come running in, and I saw him the whole way, and it was just like, I'm going to bang him just to let him know, like, I'm here. And I remember just coming up, hitting him, boom, pushing him. And on the tape, you could even see the ref grab me, like, look, we ain't going to have this today.
I saw that. Yeah, I think you posted it on Facebook.
But you had so much fun. The thing I can say about 757 guys is you go into a game, man, you compete, do it throughout the game. Like, we understand, like, it's no friends, like, but before that game, before that ball kicked off, and after the zeros hit the clock, we back to being brothers, man. And
no question.
It didn't matter where you went. I think a lot of people get it misconstrued, like, oh, if you go to Virginia Tech, you can't talk to UVA. If you go to UVA, you can't talk to Virginia Tech. Like, no, we gonna battle and we gonna compete. Like, we gonna give y'all that because this is what we love to do. But people don't understand how far back it goes. Like, if you coming from the 757 back then, like, to go to a Virginia Tech or to go to a UVA was the win. So And you get the opportunity to say, man, one of these days, man, I get to play against my homeboy. And it's always, I want the bragging rights when I come back home.
No question. And you had, if I'm not mistaken, and I didn't even realize y'all were related till I came to your wedding. Your cousin was the basketball player there, right?
Yeah.
And he had the same name as you.
Yep.
Me and my wife were at your wedding, and she said, he looks familiar. I said, oh, that's Elton Brown. And I said, wait a minute. I didn't even realize, because he was a baller too. He was from down the way.
Yep.
And he was a baller too, I remember. And I didn't even put two and two together that, you know, I saw you play, and then the football season would end and I would watch him play at UVA. Never even realized that y'all were related, man. And then, you know, speaking of athletic families and your cousin, you know, talk a little bit about your relationship with your brother, because everybody back home knows that he was an animal. But you and Scorpio are very close, man. You know, what was it like having a younger brother following your footsteps and being the player he was?
Oh, he was another reason. Like, I think that kind of created the Big E, if to say, like, you know, we had always been close growing up and those type of things. He's only 2 years behind me, so I remember like looking at games, like after the game, like come down and we win. Hey man, you see me kill that boy. Yeah, I seen you miss a dude too. Or so it was always like, okay, man, you got to stare your toes around this dude, man. But it was all love, and it motivated me to play better, but set the example too. So, you know, it was like, man, let's go out here, man, let's ball, let's do what we're supposed to do in the classroom. And he ended up going to Hampton University, and then his coach left and went to Morehouse, so he ended up transferring and finished his career in Morehouse. So to be able to go to two of the more prestigious HBCUs was a great accomplishment from him. And like I told him, like he became first team all daily press. So it was always, man, pave your way. Like, I'm gonna set the example, I'm gonna set the road, but pave your way. If I go right and you want to go left, go left. You know what I'm saying? Go left. So it was just about, you know, setting the example. But he kept me on my toes, man. And to this day, like I said, we still had the same relationship. It's always love, man, because we've been through so much together and we conquered so much together.
Yeah, man, you guys are part of another legacy that is throughout the 757, especially on the peninsula side, where you have these families. I just interviewed Marseille Brown, and you have him and Morocco and Milan, and you have the Brown brothers, you and Scorpio. The Scorpio is an absolute amazing athlete, as you were as well. And then you have the Baycoats, and then so many other people. I'm sure the Abrahams. There's so many people, especially during the golden era of Tidewater sports, I call it. And you guys pushed each other. And then I've been around each other with you at camps and hanging out socially, and y'all roast each other. Y'all push each other. It's hilarious, man, because, you know, y'all don't back down, and you got to be on your toes around both y'all, man, because y'all will fry somebody real quick, you know. But you had a great career at UVA, and it wasn't by accident. You paved your way. You earned everything you got. You persevered, and then next thing you know, you're in the NFL. And then again, once again, I'm watching you. And I'm struggling, because you can ask my wife and my close friends, you know, when you mentioned when you from VA, especially from our region, you cheer for people. You always say, oh yeah, he's from, you know, even if they 3, 5, 6 years ahead of you, behind you. And I'm looking at you, I want you to get a ring. But on the other side, it's Mike Tomlin, who is from Newport News as well. I know his family, went to Denby. And it's like, wow. And you also played in one of the best Super Bowls of all time. That was a great game.
Yeah.
How was it playing in the league and being in the Super Bowl and playing with Kurt Warner, and just in the NFL? I mean, you know, like you always say, I'm just a kid from Newport News. Next thing you know, you are on the biggest stage in sports, playing in front of millions of people watching worldwide, and you are this close to getting a ring.
Yeah. I first say it would, like I told you, man, you couldn't write a book. Like, that's why I had to, like, you would think it's a movie, man. It's a book. Like, it was just, man, I've been blessed so much, man. Like, God has been so great to me, man. Like, when I'm by myself, man, and sometimes, man, like, you ever want to see a 6'6" dude cry, man? I'm just, but it's joy, man. It's happiness, because where we came from to be on that stage. But as a kid, whatever you do, if I'm a football player, the biggest game I could play in is the Super Bowl. If I'm a basketball player, it's the NBA Finals. So to get to that point, it's a blessing, man. And I remember we went to that season. We had went to New England, and it was probably like week 14, and we go to New England, and it's snowing out there. It's crazy, and man, they when I say punch us in the mouth, they punch us in the mouth. Like first play of the game, they run a flea flick of Randy Moss for about 80 yards on us. First play of the game, they ended up beating us like 30-7 or something like that. They whipped our butts, but I remember us getting back to Arizona, and like you know, like I know, like after a certain amount of week, after week so and so, you don't wear pads no more.
Yeah.
So I remember we got back to Arizona. The coach was like, "Man, look, we putting the pads back on." So we went to practice, put full pads on. Arizona, it's always sunny, everything. This particular day, it was a storm. Like we out there practicing in the rain and everything. Like it's on one of them DVDs. It's like the Run to the Super Bowl. It's an Arizona DVD.
Oh, okay.
But they actually they got footage from that practice. And it rained and all that. But from that point on, we ran week 15 up into that Super Bowl. Like, and of course it helped having one of the greatest quarterbacks, Kurt Warner, and Larry Fitzgerald was just a maniac throughout that playoff run. I think he scored 9 touchdowns in 3 weeks.
He is so good.
Yeah, man. And he scored 2 more in the Super Bowl. So it was when you got those guys, and we had a crazy defense at the time, and they were hunting and doing what they do. But it was amazing, man, to be there and be on that stage and just soak it all in. I can tell you everything, man. I remember watching Jennifer Hudson like sang the national anthem. Like it was just from everything to fly, like all those things. And you know, to like I always say, man, to be a kid just from Newport News and to be in Tampa 2009, man, and witness to partake in something like that was a blessing. So it was amazing, man. It was amazing.
Yeah, and did you get a chance to talk to Tomlin after the game? I know with the media and so much is going on. Did you get a chance to touch bases with him?
We didn't talk after the game. We did talk that week, and of course we talked that summer when we came for the camp down here.
Yeah.
But to me, it was one of those things where, you know, again, being from the 757, I didn't want to lose, but if it was gonna be to somebody, you know, Coach Tomlin, I had my teammate Heath Miller was on the other side. So,
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you know, it didn't make it didn't hurt any less. But if it had to be somebody, that was the one. So
yeah, you know, you talk about, you know, getting emotional and all you had to overcome and all the blessings you've had. That's the one thing I admire about you. Your posts, and even, you know, when you do interviews, you're so gracious, you're so humble. Because if you want to get arrogant, which you'll never be, that's not, you know, the kind of person you are, your career is impeccable. I mean, to go to a school like UVA and to get the education you did, you know, and use your platform to be a full-time student athlete and to be a dominant player, but yet, you know, continue to make your family proud and to inspire others, including your teammates, is remarkable. And just to touch on that, I mean, you have your degrees. What are they in? And also, correct me if I'm wrong, because I keep up with a lot what you're doing. Aren't you in a doctoral program now too?
Well, so I ended up because I started coaching football. So I ended up I'm going to go back and finish that one. But I have my undergrad from University of Virginia in anthropology. I have a master's in business administration. I have a master's in criminal justice. So, and then, like I said, I enrolled in the doctoral program and ended up getting the coaching gig. And so it was kind of hard to kind of do both at the same time. Coaching was something that I was passionate about and wanted to get into. So I didn't want that opportunity. I knew how hard it was to get into to coaching. So I didn't want that opportunity to pass. I mean, I can go back and finish the other program, but I just saw the opportunity and I was grateful to get the opportunity. Thankful to Coach Davis because, you know, I remember trying to get on I'm from the 757, trying to get on at CNU, and it was like, man, you got to have experience. And I'm like, well, how am I going to get experience if I'm not hired? So, you know, and some people pay their dues in different ways. So to be able to get an opportunity, I'm thankful for that as well.
Yeah, and you are one of the most busiest persons I know, because you're also a member of Omega Psi Phi. Yeah, I throw them up. I knew you're gonna throw them up. Y'all throw them up, but you don't just throw them up. But you were active in your community service with your fraternity, but also on top of all that you were doing and still doing and have done, you started an organization, Shutdown Academy, with, God rest his soul, our late brother Keion Carpenter, which has helped the Shutdown Falcons, which has helped so many young people in the 757 get off the streets. Your cheerleading program has won national championships.
Yeah.
And those young ladies take so much pride, and they are really good cheerleaders. I'm not talking about some, go team go. I'm talking about flips and choreography and all of that. I mean, that's pretty amazing what you and Keion have done and what you've done to honor his legacy, on top of coaching, on top of, mentoring and educating others and community service. You even led, you and your brother a few years ago, unfortunately, we still and have been for the longest time dealing with social injustice and racism. I remember you and Scorpio led a community march in the 757. So between Shutdown Academy and all the things you've done, you stay giving back and leading other people.
And I want to just to add in, like, even with Shutdown, it was, as well as Antoine Bethea, like, he was real.
Yes, I'm sorry, Antoine Bethea. Yeah.
Yeah, he was instrumental in it. I remember me, Keion, and Antoine sitting down. We did a football camp in Canada, and we sat down. And I remember we put this thing together in the lobby of the hotel, just sitting there for a couple hours, and just to see. And like we said, man, rest his soul, Keion, just to see how hard he went for his community, how hard he went for his kids. I was like, man, look, this dude was way busier than I was. And for him to be able to do, I just took what he was doing, man, and said, man, if this dude can be this busy and he can still find time to do these things, I could do the same thing. And to me, it was, like I said, going back to when I was a youth, if I can help, whatever it is, it might be a cheerleader that might have to go through something. It might be a 6U football player. If I could be there and help pave the way for these young kids, man, that's what I think my role is. And again, shout out to, I just want to say, like you said with the cheerleaders, man, like we have some great coaches as well. Like, that's the thing that people in youth sports, and that's one of the things that we wanted to do, was bring in people that had the same passion and vision that we had. So our cheerleading coaches, man, they donate a lot of their time, efforts, even their own money, to get those girls to Florida every year. Like, they're there every year, and the teams that they have to battle down in Florida, some of those resources we don't have in Virginia.
Go ahead, because I was getting ready to say the same thing. It's not like that back home.
Yeah, so these girls are doing this thing year round, and we're doing it for a season. So it puts that much more much praise on it, because they're doing this in the season. They're going down there competing. We constantly in the region. We're always number one. Statewide, we're number one. And being able to go to compete on the same level as these girls at the Nationals is amazing. Our football coaches, the same thing. We haven't been fortunate enough to make it past. Football's a little harder. You got to win probably like 6 games in 3 weeks. So we haven't been fortunate enough to make it past the regional stage yet to get to nationals. But each year, man, we're coming closer and closer. And I think eventually we'll get there. We got some great coaches on the football side. I praise the guys every time that I can. The ladies as well. Like, volunteering your time for somebody else's child is a gift. And our coaches are willing to give that gift day in, day out. So I commend them, everybody who has any part in Shutdown, whether it be the student athletes, the parents, the coaches, our board members, anybody, because it takes a lot to produce a program, and people have brought in, and that's dope.
Yeah, it is very dope, because as you mentioned, y'all don't have the same resources as those other cheerleading programs that y'all are competing with, and yet they're going down there winning nationals. And more importantly, you're creating a legacy of your own with those young men and women. When they get to high school, their expectation has changed compared to what would have been 6 years ago without shutdown. And what I mean by that is that, you know, they now expect to go on, not just to college, but to go on and follow along what you've done. And the ladies that have mentored them, their lady cheerleading coaches, the men, the male coaches on the football program, helping those young men and women see that you can have an impact without doing something negative. And you and I come from the same area, and in the areas like where we come from all across the country, Chicago, Florida, New York, and having that outlet and having that culture that you guys have created is impactful. Yeah. But on another note, and I know people that are going to watch this that follow you know about the other side of Biggie. Now, we're talking about education and coaching and mentoring and all these things. But if you ever watch Elton Brown, if you follow him on Snapchat or Facebook or even Twitter, this is one of the funniest people in the world. I'm talking about jokes on jokes. First of all, I'm trying to watch the Jordan documentary, even though I grew up during it. And every time I get on Twitter, this dude has me weak with the white dude with the hair that looked like the guy from Martin, to all the jokes. I mean, if you ever get a chance, for everybody watching this interview, when this airs, follow him. And I'm telling you, you're going to laugh. You're going to be inspired, but you're also going to laugh because he will catch you slipping. And it's nothing derogatory. It's all hilarious. But my favorite, and even when I'm tired and I got a headache or I don't feel like working out or I'm frustrated about what's going on in the country, you know, and then I look and then we got Fat Boy Karaoke. Listen, guys, I saw him one time. I saw you. I don't know how you did it because I'm pretty good because I love music. I keep music on even sometimes when I'm watching TV. But you full-fledged put on a concert one time with Bad Boy Radio. You were going from everything to hip-hop and I'm like, how do you remember all those words to those songs? I'm talking about love songs, rhyming. Where's that come from?
Man, I just it's it's fun, man, because like it is crazy how the Fat Boy car karaoke thing started. Like I used to just be in the car and like music is my escape, man. I love because it's so much that you can express through music. Music can speak for you, man. Music is so much. So like throughout my life has always been like I went to UVA, so my music is diversified. Like I have different like genres of music that I listen to, and having the offensive lineman brain, it starts to stick. All the like things stick. So I remember being back in the day, like nobody knew what Bone Thugs and Harmony was saying, and I could sit there and quote Bone Thugs and Harmony at the lunch table, and like we would sit there and people like listen, like man, we want to know what they say in the crossroads. This is what they say, da, 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 or whatever it may be. So, and then I love Saturday mornings in my house was cleanup days. Like you don't touch the radio on Mama Brown house, so that's old school music. So I fell in love with old school music, and then as I got older, like R&B was my thing. Like I love rap too, but R&B was my thing. So I knew R&B songs, I knew rap songs, and so one day I was in the car, man. I'm just driving, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna just go karaoke, and I'm gonna just record myself, but I'm gonna just post it every day. And so then it got to a point where people was like, I mean, what's up with the Fat Boy car karaoke?
Yeah, man, yeah.
Or they'd be like, people that hit me and say, man, look, your playlist is fire, man. Like, I need your playlist.
Yes.
And it's crazy because I would just get in the car, man, and I just hit something like if I put Drew Hill in and whatever songs play, like I know it's crazy because it just rattles off, man. I know these songs and
it's crazy.
I just have a good time, man, and I enjoy myself. Like I said, every day, man, it's a blessing. You get to wake up. I'm sure you get to wake up. You do what you love to do.
Yeah.
Do it on your time. You have fun, man. You're blessed to see this day. So I just found something, man, that makes people happy, man, makes people smile. I love joking. That's one of the things. It's an old quote that I remember people say, man, look, man, don't take life so serious, man. Nobody makes it out alive. So, have your fun, get your jokes in. But I'm always, man, you know, like even when these cameras off, we'll have a whole different laughter conversation.
Oh, no question. No question. Hey, listen, man, I'm telling you. No, and then one last point, because I want to ask you about your coaching career. And then I forgot to mention earlier, but even with the movies, you'll be on Snap, or you'll be like, okay, I got another one for you. And you showing these clips. And I swear, I'm like, this is my favorite part too. It's like you have a knack for finding those moments in movies. And it's almost, even in the Jordan documentary, everybody's on Twitter and Facebook arguing about who's the GOAT. And here you go, finding some of the funniest moments. Like, you're like, you know what? Everybody know, Mike, you lying. You ain't want Isaiah on the team. Stop capping. Like, it's anyway, man, I don't want to laugh too much, but I'm telling you, man, if you guys watching this, man, give him a follow on Twitter, check him out on Facebook, Snapchat. You will be entertained. I'm telling you, and it's always timely stuff, man. But you know, I don't. Speaking of that, I wonder if your players know how funny you are, because you, after you were done playing NFL, you got shut down and different things, but now you're coaching. You talked about trying to get them on seeing you, but now you are at the apprentice school, correct?
Yep.
And you're coaching, and you're doing a great job recruiting. You're working your tail off. Did you know you were going to go this route into coaching?
It was one of those things where I knew when I finished playing, I came back home. I coached Pop Warner for a year, and then I remember getting on Coach Blunt. Me and Coach Blunt grew up. Coach Blunt at Phoebus. Me and him grew up together. He needed an offensive line coach at Phoebus High School. I went over there. I coached for a year at Phoebus High School. I always wanted to coach with my brother. Like, so he was at Warwick at the time. I said, man, I left Phoebus and went to Warwick. We coached together for a year. After that, we started Shutdown. And my thing was, I wanted to be hands-on with it. So I coached, my first year, I coached 14U. My second year, I coached 11U. And then my third year, I was coaching, I want to say 10U, I think. And that's when I got the call to come interview at apprentice school. And at that time, I kind of made up my mind, like I wanted to stay with the kids. But, you know, when that opportunity presented itself, I was like, look, I get to get back into this thing on a higher level. I get to reach more kids. I'm gonna always be able to touch my kids in my program. So be able to reach out to them and mentor them within my program. So it just gave me another avenue to be able to impact another group of kids' lives. So I couldn't pass the opportunity. I was thankful to get it. Now I'm going on year 3 there. My first year was just offensive line. Going into my second season, actually the off season of my first season is when I took over the recruiting coordinator duties. And then going into my second season, I became the run game coordinator as well. So now I'm the offensive line coach, recruiting coordinator, and run game coordinator, which people say, man, look, you got a lot on your plate, but I love it, man. It's not work, because I love this game. I love everything the game has brought to me, my family. So I wake up every morning, card karaoke. I wake up every morning thankful, like to have fun, to be able to go, because one of these days, man, we all tap out, man. It's gonna be a day when we all leave, and that's understood. So whatever the impact you have while you're here, I'm a quote guy, you know that. And another quote is, like, you know, in your lifetime, the dash in between your birth date and your death date is what you did with your life. I'm just trying to make my dash powerful, man. Just impact and do what I can. Have fun along the way. Create memories, because when I'm gone, I tell people with Shutdown, I want one of those. It might be a kid that's 6 years old right now. He might be the president of Shutdown one day. Like, that's what I want. I built that for, I'm sorry, but we built that for those kids, man, to keep that going. Like, make that Aberdeen, make that Boys Club, make that Doris Mill, like to do that. So because you become passionate about it. Like, I came up through Shutdown, so I'm passionate about Shutdown succeeding and surviving. So that's what we want, man. We just, you know, just have fun, man, and whatever with your life, man, just be able to say, man, well done at the end, and you're grateful for every opportunity you receive.
No, that's some wise words, and you're 100% right. And I sometimes wonder how you do it, because I know I'm extremely busy. I'm passionate about life like you, and people ask me the same question, because you know, I wake up and I'm going 100 miles per hour, but at the same time, I enjoy it. And you inspire me and so many other people directly and indirectly. And I was wondering how you were doing everything with college, because I see you post the videos about the championships, holding the trophies up. But then in between those weekends when you guys are winning, you're posting quotes, you're running back home, helping your brother, your mother, you're mentoring kids, you're a community activist. You also, you know, I didn't realize this, but even with the, you know, apprentice school stuff, traveling, long rides and driving, then you recruiting, and then you wake up and then you singing New Edition songs. I mean, it's crazy. And then you can keep up with what's going on in society and, you know, different things, and speak on different things that Ahmad Hawkins is bringing up. You'll speak on it. I mean, you are definitely living the dream and the example of being more than an athlete. So, you know, E, with that being said, like I let all my guests do, I would come to the part of the show where, you know, all the stuff that you've been through, I want you to leave a point or whatever comments you have as far as you've been blessed, but you had to overcome a lot like many of us. If you were talking to a group of kids, mothers, fathers, families, whoever, about being resilient and pushing through, and they got a goal they have, what should they do to persevere, to push through? What comments or feedback do you want to give them on how to make it to get to where you are and beyond?
One of the greatest things I say is to trust yourself. And by that I mean, it's so many. If you go to any young athlete's room, there's so many ideas, there's so many thoughts, there's so many want-tos on their bedroom floor that just been thrown away because they don't trust that they can get it accomplished. They don't trust that they can do those things. Like I would say, man, pick those things up. The hardest thing to live with is regret. So I would rather try and fail than fail to try any day. Like whatever you feel like you want to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, I grew up thinking I'm going to play football. I'm going to play basketball or baseball. And I went to a Super Bowl. Like I played football. So like you never know what your avenue may be. You're going to have people on your road that they're going to be for you, and you're going to have people that's not going to be for you. You got to understand that every a loss is a lesson, man. A loss is a lesson. Like it's no, you don't take L's because you get better. You're either winning or you're learning. So like trust yourself, trust your vision, trust your purpose, and treat people kind, man. My thing has always been, man, when I leave here, man, like leave people with something. Leave people with something to remember you by. Like it's always gonna be, man, he was a funny dude, but he took care of the people, man, around him. He took care of his community, because I'm passionate about it. So whatever you're passionate about, put your fire behind that, put your vision behind that, and do what you were called to do. Understand that things could be taken in a moment. On one day, I woke up, I was on top of the world. The next day, the world was on top of me. So, you know, I was living a life. I was the one of the highly recruited linemen in the country, and then the next day it was trying to find a home. So it can be taken from you. So be humble, and that's why I'm always humble, because I know I was 17 going down that road to where, you know, I might have started feeling myself a little bit, letting the top to one of the top tackles in the country, letting that talk get to me. And, you know, God has a funny way of humbling us. But he humbles us for us to understand and appreciate where he's about to take us. So I think, to me, I had to go through that because his vision was, I'm about to take you to the NFL, man. So it's either you can go through this in high school, or you can get to the NFL and it could really it cost you your life. So, you know, I was able to learn so much, man. 17, I had to grow up fast, man. And I just lived the rest of my life like that, man. Thankful for every opportunity. Like, to me, every day I wake up, like the car karaoke thing is thanks, man, because my life could have been different. So it's just have fun while you're here, enjoy it, love people. And the last thing I say is, man, I thank you. Like I know we're on this thing and we're interviewing and doing these things, but you don't understand the impact that you have on me. I know you said, man, you inspired me. Like, no, Like I remember back in the day, even coming up there to speak to your group years ago, like to sit in that library and talk to those kids, to see what you were doing then on a smaller scale. And I say smaller, there was a lot of kids there, but like now it's just blown up. Like, man, you got this video and you took up, but you inspired me way back then. Like before we even had a conversation, it was like, man, this is 757 great. So you do what you do you got to show up for these people.
Yeah.
But even after we became like brothers and started to have our conversations and talks and stuff like that, and you like, look, man, I want you to come up here, speak to the kids. And I walked in there and I'm like, man, this dude got like and not just talking to the kids. I'm talking about well-mannered. They hanging on every word. Like that was rare. So, but that was compliments to you and the guys that you working with, because y'all had all these young men in here ready, man, and sitting on words, because now I understand, like, those kids are the future. Yeah. So you inspired me, man. And when I said, man, don't take, man, I'm so thankful that you were a part of my journey. And that's my thing. I'm always, people say, man, give people their roses while they're living. I'm going to give you as many as I can, because you set me on a path when I was still young. Like, to say, man, like, yeah, turn it up a notch. Like, you had this vision. Like, no, turn it up a little bit. You can do better. And that came from you. So I'm thankful for you.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And I'm thankful that I was allowed to do that. You know, I love you. I tell you all the time. And I brag on you when you played, and I brag on you now. And I appreciate those wise words, man. And also the support you've given me, you and your brother, your mother, your family. I'm grateful for what you just said. And speaking of that, I'm going to end with this. You said something, and you said something at that camp and symposium when you spoke to the kids. You said, you are who you are, even when someone's not looking. And I remember that. I'd heard it before, but the way you said it really impacted me. And just to let you know, E, we all looking, and we all appreciate you, man. And thank you for coming on today. This has been great. I'm gonna keep watching for the songs and the videos, like Suge Knight. I'm gonna be checking for the videos and everything like that. But no, man. But God bless you. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. And like I always say every week, man. For those watching, for those listening, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, make sure you have a positive impact and leave a great legacy. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, E. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.